Oh, hell. Now, I just got in from the dentist. Um, so let me see if I can. I can talk okay, I think. But the good news is I still have this tooth over here, which had the massive cavity in it, and it had also a cavity along the gum line. And yeah, I know it's only a rental. All these teeth are only rentals, but it kind of cheers me up that I still have that tooth. I didn't have it pulled. And there was questions. There's always questions about my teeth, like why are your teeth all cracked and broken, and I never tell them the truth because then I have to explain what CRPS is and how it affects all tissue groups and all this crap. But anyways, so yeah, that was the first time I was out of the house since November 20th. I realized, and that's not good. So I had this dream. Now I tried to remember the details to this dream, but it's not a good dream to have before you go to the dentist. But I used to rely on family for transportation and be generous with the gas money and all that crap before all the family issues and stuff. So I'm with my brother-in-law and I'm going to the dentist in the dream. My brother-in-law's like there's something wrong with my stomach, man, and let me stop, get something to eat. So we get this big, gigantic pizza. And he starts to eat his pizza, and I'm real hungry because I didn't eat much the day before because I've been having issues that are different than in the dream. Let's say they're the polar opposite of the dream, where my body doesn't want to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, well, until you figure that stuff out, I'm not going to pour a bunch of food on top of that. To hell with that. So now my brother-in-law is like, oh, you got to cancel your appointment, man. He's like, you got to cancel your appointment unless you want to be in you're in a car with a driver that shit himself. Cause man, it's gonna happen. I got to turn around. I got to go back home. And I was wanting to cancel the appointment anyway because I didn't feel good. My body's not working. But in the dream, it was the polar opposite of my issue. And he's like, you can have the rest of that pizza. It's back on the trunk of the car. So we're driving down the road, and since it's a dream, I reach in and I grab this huge piece of pizza, and I start eating it. And shortly after that, I woke up, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to go to the bathroom, so but my stomach's telling me it's gonna go to the bathroom. But I'm like, you're a lying son of a bitch. This body's just a lying son of a bitch. That's part of CRPS. It's telling you it's on fire. I'm not on fire. It's telling you that there's a boa constrictor squeezing my right calf right now. There's no boa constrictor there. It's all a bunch of physical sensation hallucination. So you can't believe none of it. And so it's like, you're not, you're just lying to me about that stuff. So I said, but in case you aren't lying, I don't know what's going to happen. So I was like, I took 2 Imodium AD pills to, clog everything up because I don't want I don't know, World War III, uh, the bowel wars to break out in the middle of my dental appointment because I got CRPS. It's completely unpredictable. You know, it's like I said, my body from here down is just a madhouse, utter bedlam. So uh, I'm like, God, I don't want to go to this appointment, but here's what I'll do. I'll go in there and I'll tell him whatever, and I just want him to look at this tooth. And I'll get that tooth pulled if they got the executioner in there. If they got the executioner in there, I'll go ahead and get the tooth pulled. Ah, crap.
Hi, this is Ginger with Man Staffing. If you are currently...
Sorry about that. Um, I couldn't help it. It was a number. It was a Maslin number. So, uh, anyways, so I'm like, well, I'm just gonna make something up to get out of there quick. Basically, it's like I feel like hell. I don't feel right. I don't feel right, and I took my normal dose of morning Valium, and then I got an oatmeal container, and I took out 2 half milligrams of Xanax. I'm like, well, I'll take one before I leave, because I'm feeling unduly nervous from being trapped inside and from worrying about my bowels and not going to the bathroom and all that. And so I'm like, I'll just take that. I'll take the one pill, and then like I get into the doctor. I even tell the driver, I'm like, this isn't gonna take long because an extraction don't take no time at all. So I'm looking at myself while I'm waiting, and I'm waiting for these noodles to get cold enough to eat on my chest here because I'm starving, and they can be cold for all I care. But that's because this stuff's supposed to be sensitive to hot and cold. And so, anyways, um, I go in there and I'm like, look, I was like, I got a history of AFib. I broke out the AFib card and played the heart card. I'm like, I got a history of AFib. I don't feel good today. I don't feel right. I don't, I know they want to do extensive work on these caps, on these, see the two teeth that are whiter than the rest? You never match up the color right. But uh, I'm like, it's going to take too long. And I just wanted to look at this and see if this needs pulled or not. And then if, you know, they have an executioner, a tooth executioner guy in there, if he's not there, they'll probably just let me go in 15 minutes. No, 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 no. That's not how that went. So I talked to the doctor, the dentist, and she's like, well, your insurance on your on getting your front teeth made so they don't match is about to expire because I got my tooth pulled on the 20th, the last time I was out of the house. So she's like, we got to get something started today. We don't have to finish it today, but we got to get something started today. So these are temporaries, they call them. Then I go in 3 weeks and I get the permanent bonded ones. So I said, what about that tooth? Is that tooth going to get pulled? She's like, no, I'm tired of pulling your teeth. And it's like, there's a big cavity close to the gum, and then there was another like a weird black line type cavity. She said that's a cavity because I was like, what about this right here? I was expecting it to be pulled, and she's like, no. So it's still there. Now that your appetite is totally ruined by hearing my physical woes, it's not going to affect my appetite at all. But so I'm there in the chair 2.5 hours. You know, so uh, the part where I got interrupted on the phone is I was looking at my hand shake in the dentist's office, and I took out the other half milligram of Xanax and took it. And I was still uptight, and I still had like vasoconstriction from the CRPS. Man, I was cold, and it wasn't cold out around here. It was 58 degrees when I woke up, and it's warm in the dentist's office and warm in the dentist chair. And that is what I explained to somebody today, because like I said, everywhere I go, a little soapbox saying you need to know about benzodiazepines. As a medical person, so they're interested in it, and they're like, you should know anything about it. And I'm like, it's good for a situation like this, or if you have to make a speech, or like you have an untimely death. I didn't say that, but so I was thinking later on. I should have said that too. Or if you have an untimely death and you got to go to a funeral or something, and you need like uh, to be mellowed out for a couple of days, it's okay. You just can't, I explained to her the physical dependence thing, and and she said benzos. I can remember benzos. She's like, I didn't know anything about that, and I told her some of the names of them and whatnot, and so that's what they did. It wasn't only a little bit of pain involved. Is on the massive cavity they filled there, and then they did a double take on making my teeth not match, and yeah, it's all stupid. I mean, it all seems to me like I'm inevitably gonna lose all these teeth. These teeth are shit. You know, you look at them; they're all cracked. I mean, they're discolored in weird places. I just got. It's just a CRPS bad genetics thing. My mother had no teeth as long as I could remember. She probably got all her teeth pulled before she was 50. I mean, I don't ever remember her not having dentures. Um, so it's like it's probably a genetic thing. But anyways, so next up is the caseworker on the third, and you know I'm gonna tell him how much uh, money I got, that I actually have enough money to move right now. And I'm not too particular about where I move. Because it's one thing to be trapped inside all the time like I am because you can't walk right. It's another thing to be trapped in a place you fucking hate, and it's just you're giving money to a guy that you'd like to murder. Well, you know what I mean. I don't really want to murder anybody. If he was single, I wouldn't murder. I wouldn't do that. But anyways, you know all about that. Um, so then on the 6th, I go see my primary caregiver and talk to him about my knee. And on the 7th, I go to Coleman to talk to the guy that's giving me the Valium. In the meantime, I have to find a pill cutter because I'm almost to the point where, you know, I went from 3 pills a day to 2 pills a day, and I'm not struggling with it at all. What I struggle with today is the bowel lockdown and having to go somewhere after being shut inside for a month and 10 days. Try it sometime. Or better yet, don't. Try being locked in solitary confinement with no human interaction for a month and 10 days and then get thrown into a place with a whole bunch of people. So I was like, I don't even know where my pill cutters are. It's been too long since I've been cutting pills. But I was like, at some point, I'm going to be cutting, the 10 milligram Valium. I'm going to be cutting 5 milligrams, taking 5 milligrams on blood pressure in the morning and then 10 milligrams at night. And then 5 in the morning and then 5 at night. Now, when this is going to happen or when I'm going to try this, it's just, I play it, I listen to my body. Even though most of it's, like I said, it's a fucking liar. I just, I just kind of like I said, I stand what I can stand. Like, I didn't mean to taper last month, but I come out tapering 33%, just kind of by accident. Once I became aware that I was 17 pills ahead, then I started to taper. But, I mean, I just started taking it as I felt like I needed it, because if now when I'm around people, God, they get on my fucking nerves, I mean, so the solitary thing might be a good thing for somebody that's detoxing from benzodiazepines, because people will to get on my nerves, and I'm not, texting's okay, but I mean talking to somebody on the phone, they can really get on my nerves. Today, of course, I had 10 milligrams of Valium and a full milligram of Xanax in me, so there wasn't a whole lot going to get on my nerves. I told 3 jokes, all successfully, making people laugh, educated somebody about benzos, so I was a good dude. I was brave, and like I said about the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape, it's not brave for a strong person to do strong things. It's brave for a weak person to do normal things. That's what the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape taught me. It's like it was braver for that giant fat woman to go out in public where people were making fun of her and just take a walk to the post office than it is for my cop buddy when he was 40 years old beating up 3 dudes at the same time. It's all relative to your situation. So I'm not gonna make a long video because let's see. Mm, these are supposed to be real sensitive. These temporaries to hot and cold, I was told. So that's why I'm going to eat them lukewarm. I don't know if I should even be attempting this because I'm still numb from like here up to my nose. My nose is numb. Yeah, I can flick my nose and not even feel it. My nose is all freaking numb. So, um, yeah. So that was my morning. A lot of times I'm like, this is my fucking life now, you know. And I weather forecasted because I used to be an outdoorsman and spend all my time outdoors, and now I'm spending all my time indoors. So like as soon as I woke up, it's 58 degrees at a season of the year it should not be 58 degrees. The wind is howling and blowing, and I'm like, weather change automatically. It's just a given around these parts. Is like if you got an unseasonably warm day and high winds the next day, or right now it's kind of nasty out. You expect bad weather. Okay, another thing about being an outdoorsman is like I told the driver, and I got the same driver. Like I saw her like 3 hours later. I said, "I told you so." She goes, "Yeah, it's nasty out here now, man. It was so nice this morning." And another thing about forecasting the weather as an outdoorsman is when you feel the temperature drop, then you know the rain's coming. It's just a matter of time. And it's like okay, it's time to like look around for a good tree to hide under. I can remember fishing once, and I got stuck underneath this tree, and this tree was thick, so thick with leaves that it actually made a pretty good shelter. And it was pouring, and I'm just on a bicycle. I used to strap my bicycle to the crossbar of the fishing rod to the crossbar of the bicycle, or just if I was going on a short trip, just use just carry it in my hand. But I'm not stuck underneath this tree, right? And I'm just fishing there, waiting for the rain to stop, casting the same lure over and over again, knowing that nothing is going to bite. It didn't bite the first hour you were sitting here casting, but I wasn't prepared for that kind of rain. I didn't see it coming that day. But I felt the cold, and I headed for that tree, and I stayed dry. Cause I was okay, animals are expert at that, of course, but I was like, well, if you want to count human beings and animals, you tap on that animal side, but really it's just experience. It's like I'm an outdoorsman that's now an indoorsman, hoping to be an outdoorsman again. Maybe that's why my teeth are all screwed up, is because of the last 5 years spending so much time inside. When I moved in here, I used to go sit out there and sit in the sun and get sun and process that vitamin D, which is good for bones, which your teeth are bones, and good for your nails, and but I don't get none of that now. But anyways, so that's the work that they did, and they didn't pull the tooth I was expecting them to pull, and I got much else to say. The last video I made was 2 hours, and yeah, that was long enough. I won't see you until next year, so um, let's hope for all our sakes that Next year's a good year for all of us. And by good year, all I'm looking for is improvement, man. Good, like the relative thing to bravery, bravery being relative and suffering being relative. Because I shouldn't have said that, but the dentist in there was just going off about how painful her ingrown toenail was. You know how they shot her up and they shot. She's like they shot me like 8 times. Boy, it hurt like a bitch. And she didn't say hurt like a bitch, of course, because she's a professional. But it's what she meant. She said, "No, I got half a toenail." And she's like, "You ever have an ingrown toenail?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd take care of them myself. Pry up the nail." That's all they do. I'm not going to tell her that I don't have the same feeling in my feet maybe that you have. Actually, my feet hurt all the time. But, I step on tacks and stuff, but I wasn't going to explain all that. But I was like, that was dumb. This is dumb. That's the one dumb thing I said today. Um, but yeah, that's all they do. I mean, is like they pry it up. They get the infection out of it. They pry up the nail and they take like special scissors and snip the nail off. And then here's a tip, so this video isn't a total waste of time talking about dentistry and shit. Is there's a certain way that you cut your toenails, you'll never have another ingrown toenail again. And that's just, you just make sure that that side has an edge to it. Now, women that paint their toenails will probably, like, it's worth the risk. I have an ingrown toenail or whatever, like the manicure, they have pedicures or whatever. But if you're just a dude and you don't give a fuck about what your toes look like, you just cut your toenail straight across and you make sure that that edge piece of your toenail doesn't have a chance to ingrown. You just cut them straight across, and then you can take you know, snip off the little sharp corner if you need to. But you just gotta cut them a certain way. I haven't had an ingrown toenail since I was in the hospital, and I stomped on it to prove a point in front of a bunch of doctors in the Cleveland Clinic when I was 23 years old. So, yeah, I told one of the dental technicians that, you don't never need to go through that again. You just got to cut your toenails a certain way and it never happens. Because all that is like your toenail curving down and cutting in. Uh, so, there, you learned something useful and why you heard my my story about how I was just wanting to get in and out in 10 minutes and was there for 2.5 hours in a dental chair. And they had something on the roof of my mouth that was like plaster that was dried. And it's still there, but there was like a big ridge of it because I didn't close my mouth for a long time. And there was like this big ridge of crap. And I'm like, I can't put up with that for 3 weeks. And I'm like, there's a big ridge of stuff in there, Like, let me take a look at it. And he looked at it and he said, oh, that's all that plaster stuff dried to the roof of your mouth. Let me get some of that. So he's like scraping at that and it's hurting and getting sensitive and stuff. And I'm numb and I'm like, it's still there, but it's smoothed out a bit. So I'll just get used to it for 3 weeks. But it's like I was worried about him making my mouth real sore because it was like hurting. Whatever implements or whatever he was doing was hurting. So, anyways, I'm gonna eat my cold noodles. Mmm. With no broth. She didn't even get me the right noodles. I just canceled my appointment with her. I liked her at first, but she's the lady with the cartoon voice. I liked her at first, but then I realized that she's very, very annoying and pushy and doesn't listen. And she got me like a bunch of the wrong noodles, which these are not the noodles that I like, but they will fill a hole in my stomach. So as I twirl up my first bite in not exactly glorious anticipation, I will leave you to go about your business. And I don't know what entertainment value or interest this would have for anybody, but there you go. Like I oh yeah, took care of my hair so I don't look like a weirdo. I just look like uh hmm, I look like a Bruce Willison or something like a Bruce Willis type. Anyways, I couldn't think of nothing clever to say. That's bound to happen when you have Nova head Caine, no, Nova Caine, Nova head Caine. When you have Nova Caine head and you can flick your nose and not feel it. So, uh, adios.